So then let's talk about, first of all, what we were saying before, because there's a lot of people going to hear our segment about the NFL schedule, right? And you and I go through that, and we're like, we don't like this, we don't like that, we don't like this. And people are so in love with football. But again, let me just point this out again. This is a sports betting network, and our job here, hopefully, is to lead you to what is also profitable betting, in addition to betting the sport we love. We all love football. No one loves football more than me. My first love. My parents had no idea what alien child they had given birth to. At 6 years old, I refused to eat Thanksgiving dinner because I was depressed about a football game. That's a true story. So I get it. But here's the deal. Here's the tennis hard court record, just to let you know there are other sports you can bet. Here's the tennis hard court record, nearly 30 units in pocket from not only the U.S. Open, but the hard court tournaments beforehand. We will, as I mentioned with Drew Dinsick earlier, we will talk Indian Wells in a couple weeks for those who are in tennis withdrawal. There it is at the bottom of the screen there, 24.833 units. Or as few as 21.5 on the hard court season. That goes up to plus 28 plus units and 25 units if you throw in the futures on Daniil Medvedev minus the Krejcikova future. So it's close to 30 units if you were graded in the most positive way. And then there's the other thing that I've done for so many years, which is baseball. And baseball, you will notice on this show that I don't bet baseball on a day-to-day basis like I used to. 5 years ago, if you had asked me, what's my favorite sport to bet on, it would have been baseball, and everything else is a distant second. The one baseball tie over, though, that is still, to me, the most tried and true successful betting vehicle that there is betting season win totals in baseball, because there's no other sport, there's no other endeavor that allows you 162 points of data where you can overcome negative variance. So even if you're wrong for a period of time, you can still get to the promised land with your bets if you're handicapping it properly. Pro football, man, you have a bad month, forget about it. College football, even worse. If you had a bad couple weeks, it's over. This year, the difference was this. I usually write my baseball manifesto at Point Spread Weekly. I did it for every year of VSiN so far until this year. Now that there's 2 shows, I just didn't have time. And now, by the way, we have folks like Adam Burke who do it spectacularly well, way better than I could have ever done it, by the way. Let me just point that out. So this year, it wasn't season win totals and there wasn't a season manifesto, but I mentioned at the beginning of the year, so long ago we barely remember it, that I had season win percentages. Remember, Jeff, that there was still the looming specter of COVID. There still is, by the way. But in this case, there was still the looming specter. So some books, instead of going season wins, went season win percentages. So I did 4 of them. I think 3 of them are going to get home. And this is the thing with these. Every year, we're 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 4-0. We never lose on these. Because, again, it's not because, hey, look at me. It's because it's such a long runway that if you're handicapping properly, like, you can be wrong for a while and still win. So here they are. The one that I lost is spectacular, is a spectacular loss. So the ones that are going to win had the under season win percentage of .425, right? A .425 win percentage on the Texas Rangers. They're sitting currently at .371. So that's going to get home. Unless the Rangers all of a sudden become the 27 Yankees. But that's going to get home. Then there's the Baltimore Orioles, under 39.5. Again, 395 for their season win percentage. They're at 322. That's going to be a winner as well. These will all be graded, of course, at the end of the season. So that's going to be a winner. Now, you'll notice, it used to be back in the day, I would do season win total over and unders, typically on teams that were not at the extremes, but more towards the middle. But with the chasm, the ever-widening chasm between the haves and have-nots in baseball, I see more value this past year and the year before in the teams at the extremes. And so that's noticed, that is reflected, rather, in the Rangers and Orioles unders, which look to be getting home in cruise control fashion. Now, here's the loss. Boy, was this bad. I had the over 550 on the Minnesota Twins. I recognize I'm not alone in this loss, but they're at 438 currently. That is a spectacular loss. Thankfully, it only counts as 1. But not even close to getting that right. The Twins, clearly the most disappointing team in all of baseball based on preseason expectations. And here's the one that has surged home this last part of the season and could still lose if they somehow fall flat. But as we pointed out earlier, the remaining schedule for the Toronto Blue Jays is quite easy, quite manageable. And this second half surge from them that has put them now in the number 1 wild card position, I had them over 540 season win percentage, and they have surged now to 562. Their win-loss their win-loss record percentage, in other words, of their percentage of wins. Their win percentage is .562 based on their win-loss record. So it's looking like a 3-1. Sure, the Blue Jays could swoon their last handful of games of the season. 4 handfuls, by the way, just to be exact. But right now, Jeff, it's looking like a 3-1. And so I'll just say this again for those who have listened to this show a long time. Tennis, baseball season win totals, college football in-game, maybe third. Seriously, like it's that good, college football in-game. But to me, if you give me those are the trifecta of betting vehicles. So one is pre-flop tennis, also in-game tennis, but for the purposes of discussion. One is a pre-flop wager in tennis, also futures. One is a season-long season win totals thing in baseball, and one is in-game. And that's probably, again, if you can impart some of the biggest betting lessons are, is nothing is static, nothing is the same in every sport. You've got to figure out what the best areas are for you, the best markets. It's not static. What's good to somebody else might not be good for me. Matt Brown, Kelly Bidlin on VSiN's Primetime Action destroy golf. We have a lot of people on this network who destroy golf. Brady Cannon, Wes Reynolds, Matt Humans. So it's going to be different for everybody. Just for me, it's just another way of saying just because we talk about the NFL the most and we love the NFL the most and we get the most juice out of it, and Lord knows, good God, I do guessing lines, I do the Megapod, I do numbers game. I can't talk about football enough. I love it so much. But it doesn't necessarily translate to dollar bills, y'all, if you know what I mean. That was a dollar bill, y'all reference, Jeff.
So
I just want to be acknowledged on that. What's that?
A Looney and Tooney.
And a Looney and Tooney reference earlier. How many of those 3 do you agree with? What would be your number one, Jeff Parlay?
It's college football in-game, number one.
College football in-game.
Yeah. Just for again, following you for tennis is one thing. If I went out and handicapped tennis on my own, it'd probably be a mess. But for me, just watching the games and look, it's a little more, the NFL's a little more beatable in quotes in-game than pre-flop. It's darn near impossible pre-flop. But college football in-game is really good. It's really good because you could tell pretty quickly if there's a beatdown coming. Like your Stanford USC one this weekend was perfect because it was obvious. Even though Stanford was a 17-point underdog, it was obvious pretty quickly that Stanford was going to win that game, and that number was there for a long time.
No sport reveals itself more in-game, whether a beatdown, a track meet, whatever kind of nature it's going to have, quicker and more reliably than college football. By the way, not mentioned at all in this discussion, either the NBA or college basketball, which some people swear by college basketball. There's a lot of professional handicappers that love the first part of the college basketball season more than anything ever. So find your niche, find what works best for you.